Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is July the 15th, 2020, and we are going to be taking a look at Revelation chapter 10. So let's get started. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth. Foot is added. Left foot on the earth. Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about Revelation 10. About how I'm going to do the study. I went through it, and most of the definitions we already knew. I did look up all of the definitions for Revelation 1, but most of them we are pretty familiar with, so I didn't look up the ones that we have come in contact with over and over again. I may mention what they are for the newcomers, and you're welcome to go back and review the other videos for explanations for these words, but I couldn't see how it would be beneficial to us to review a bunch of definitions that we have been coming in contact with over and over again throughout Revelation. So that's the way we're going to handle it. But I had already looked up all of the definitions for the first one. Well, I think that these are important, even if they are a review, some of them. Well, I just recalled I looked up all of them, but I didn't put a lot of explanations in there for them. Okay, now that said, let's continue. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven. This is Yahushua. Yahushua. It's not an angel. An angel just means messenger, and it is Yahushua. You'll see that when we get down to verse 6 here, where he swears, and you'll see that no angel can do that. So Yahushua comes down from heaven, clothed with a cloud. Clothed, of course, reveals your character, and he's clothed with a cloud, which means righteousness. Now, and then it says, and then it goes on to describe how he was clothed more specifically. A rainbow was upon his head. Now, the rainbow is a symbol of the covenant that was made between by God to us, that we would not be flooded again by rain, that he would never do that again. And it was upon his head. Now, head, I didn't look that word up, but we kind of know what head is. It is it's in prophecy, it is the leader, and that's a good definition, because when you're the head of something, you are the most important part of it, right? You get anointed on your head because your thoughts are in your brain. You wear your crown upon your head because it signifies that you are the head of that country where that crown belongs, right? So the rainbow is upon the head. He's wearing the covenant upon his head. So it's at the forefront of his thoughts and his mind. Okay? And that's his crown. That's his glory. And his face was as it were the sun. Now we remember what face was from studying Ezekiel. A face is that primary unique characteristic that you have. No similar than a person's face. Each person's face is unique. You recognize them because that is a unique characteristic that they have, that is at the forefront, that you see first. It's no different than anything else. A lion, he may not be the strongest creature, but he's the most feared because nobody wants to fight with him with those laser sharp claws, the same. It's just it's the primary feature. Some of the other creatures that were in Ezekiel, the man, his unique quality is that he's made in the image of God. He can love and he can make a decision. His intelligence, and so on and so forth. So the face is that unique quality. We have things in common, but that unique quality that makes us stand out, and it doesn't have to be exclusive. It's just unique. So, and then the sun, of course, represents the Ten Commandments. I don't think I went into that because there were so many explanations that were needed in order to make the Ten Commandments the light, and then the light, was wisdom and so forth and so forth. But I think I put a few definitions in there for sun. And his feet as pillars of fire. Now we saw a different definition of feet in Ezekiel, where the feet pointing in that direction, of course, were showed his intentions, where you're headed in that direction if that's where your feet are pointed. Feet in this verse and in the next verse, it shows authority. Okay, he has authority over the sea and over the earth. And we'll look at those definitions. A pillar is the same thing it is in real life. It holds up. It holds up the foundation. It is a primary support of the foundation. Now, for instance, in our faith, one of the pillars of our faith is that Christ died for our sins. If you remove that, the entire religion kind of falls to the ground. That's what a pillar is. And I don't think I put in all the definitions that I wanted to for that. I think I stopped short of doing that. But that's okay, because we can just use the real life definition for that. I know I have at least one in there, but I think I did not finish that one. But that's okay, because we have the real life definition. It's the same here as it is in real life. There's no change there. So, and then fire. And we're going to go into fire real quick, because you'll want to understand the fire here. Because I'm going to give you a general definition of judgment right now. And that's a good definition. We're just going to say judgment right now. But you'll want to understand that I know I've said this before, judgment is not something that is cruel. It's not the cruel element of the Bible that we have been taught to believe from our childhood, where we're just going to be punished and cast into a flaming fire for eternity because of the sins of one brief lifetime. No. First of all, that's entirely false. We're burnt up. The fire is to refine. See, nobody goes into the fire because of sin. Well, yes, you have to go through the fire because of sin, but the penalty for sin is actually death. You see, you die because of sin, because you hold on to those sins. The fire was never meant to kill you. It was meant to refine you. The fire, if you are a saint, you still go through the fire, but you let go of those sins in the process. Remember in Revelation 6, when it said that those that did not repent did not die? Because when you die, you can't die with sin upon you. Yahushua has waited 6,000 years to purge this world of sin. And when you die, that sin still has to come off of you. So if you can't get it off in real life, then it has to. There's no other alternative. The saints aren't gonna burn it off you. They're not gonna go sinning to try and make you pay to make you better. No, it has to be purged. So if it doesn't get purged in life, then it has to be purged by Yahushua. Okay, but then after that, you have to die. That is an act of mercy, 100%. God does not want anyone to die. The problem is that sin will never rise again. Never. And if you go to heaven, and you are still clinging on to those sins, and the only way to get it off of you was through fire, then it's going to rise up again. Satan was perfect. He had the ability to not sin. Let me give you an example. No, I'll give you an example later. No, I'll give you an example now of something about the Lord's ability to cleanse our hearts. When I first started studying the Bible, I was reading through the prophecies, and I'm reading through the New Testament, and Paul just rubbed me the wrong way. He had killed the Christians, he had killed the saints, and he came across to me as very arrogant. I was like, now of course he doesn't come across to me like that anymore, because I feel differently now. But I'm going to tell you why. I was reading through the Bible, and I'm reading through the Bible, and I'm studying looking at Paul, and I wanted to love Paul because Paul he was still an apostle. He wrote the Bible. But when he came across as so proud and everything, I thought to myself, you killed the saints. That's all I could think about. And I probably wouldn't have even cared had he not come. I don't know. They were mutual. First he killed the saints, and then he had the nerve to be what I felt like was arrogant when he was really just proud, which he had a right to be. He wrote most of the New Testament. But no, I wasn't satisfied with that. So I'm just sitting there and I'm reading the Bible, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, Paul. And I remember just sitting there thinking, and I just kind of wandered off into nowhere, and I said a prayer, and I prayed to Yahweh, and I said, I don't know the exact words I said, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to tell you what I said without the exact words. And I just said, I need help. I said, how am I supposed to study the Bible? How am I supposed to study these words when I'm mad at Paul? I said, I can't. Help me. Please take these feelings away from me, from Paul. Do you know, before I said those words, all of those feelings of animosity was gone. I kid you not. It was so instantaneously that I didn't believe it was true. I started trying to make myself be mad at Paul because I just couldn't believe it. I was like, no, this is not true. This did not just happen. There was no change in me. There was no fireworks. There was no nothing. Nothing had happened. All I did was notice before I finished saying that prayer, I didn't feel that way about Paul anymore. And I just could not accept it. And I tried to make myself, but then I don't know. I just finally had to accept it. I finally had to accept that Yahweh had answered my prayer. And he had taken those feelings away from me about Paul, whom I love now. He did it with Esau. The fire is supposed to refine. It is for the righteous. It purges that sin from us. It takes it away and makes us hate it. For the unrighteous, they cling to it. So they cannot go to heaven because we as people care so much about our reputation. We care so much. We want to please the Joneses. We want money. We want to show off. We want to do all these things. If we were to go to heaven and have these thoughts in front of an all-knowing God, and if you take a sinner to heaven and they're looking at the angels saying, I can't stand all these fake nice people. I don't believe they're that nice. I bet you I could corrupt them. I bet you I can do this, that, and the other. Oh, I'd like to punch them in the face. And all these horrible things they're thinking about, all of the rest of the angels, and you running around happy, and they want to kill them and punch them and beat them and make them feel bad. And then they have to go and stand in front of God, who knows their every wicked thought. And we know that's what they do. That's why Yahushua said, when they went to the Yahushua and said, Lord, Lord, he said, no, Everything you done was tainted. It was tainted by selfishness, by pride. They wanted to look charitable. They're hypocrites. They wanted to donate the most money, to have the most esteem, to look best on the job. It was all tainted. So, death, too, is an act of mercy. Fire is supposed to cleanse us. And death is an act of mercy because they cannot go to heaven. They cannot go to heaven and stand before an all-knowing God with sin on them. I did you all a disservice when I talked about the smoke that went up in front of during the atonement. I said that smoke was to hide us from Yahweh. That's not true. Yahweh looks upon us all the time. That smoke is to hide Yahweh from us, because we cannot look upon him in our sin. So you need to understand that. Because when you look at the picture of Yahushua here, just to do a quick comparison, it's okay. We can take some time with this, because this is the verse, the only one that had a lot of definitions in it. So when you do a comparison and you look at Yahushua in chapter 1, he has the white hair for purity. He has the bronze, the feet of brass. Brass does not corrupt. So the illustration of Yahushua that's given there is one of a person without a sacrificial lamb. He has no sin on him. He's perfect. Okay? He already has a perfect heart. He's perfect. So then you see a picture of him. Or Yahweh. I can't remember which one. But in Ezekiel, there's the fire, the flame coming from the bosom, as though he's birthing the children, birthing his children. And out comes the refined man. Right? So, and we know that Ezekiel is full of instruction. Instruction, if you don't know what that means, that is when a child needs to be disciplined, then you instruct them in the right path. You can spank them, you can ground them, you can sit them down and have a talk with them. Whatever the case, you instruct them on how to, on the correct path to go in. Okay? So in Ezekiel, you see an illustration of God kind of birthing his children that are going to be led into righteousness. Okay? Here we have all of the symbols, all of the pictures of the Yahushua here is him as a righteous judge. That's what the picture is. He's clothed with righteousness. And those clothing include a rainbow of his covenant with us as a crown. His face is reflecting of the Ten Commandments. And his feet are pillars of fire. Primarily, they are the primary support of all of this is judgment. Righteousness and judgment and his covetousness and his covetousness and his covenant. So we see a righteous judge here. So that is going to give us some idea. I took some time with that, I know, because I wanted us to have a good picture of what was going on in the rest of the chapter. Because we can know. We have a picture of him here. So anyway, let's move on. Let's see how far we can get now that we've gone through that. Oh, we have to go through the definitions. That's okay. We're going to go through the definitions, and then we will pick up in verse 3 with the in the next video. I'm going to pause you for a moment here. Okay. Hold on a moment. This is the wrong verse, so I have to change it. I think that the cloud was first. I cannot recall. Let's go back. Oh, closed. Okay. So clothed represents the character. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and as a diadem. So he's clothed with righteousness and judgment. They that hate thee shall be clothed with shame, and the dwelling place of the wicked shall come to naught. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. I think that's it. So cloud was next. And it came to pass, when the congregation had gathered against Moses and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. One of the things about cloud is that if you look through all the definitions, it lets through the glory of God. It beams out through the cloud. When it's a dark cloud, it covers, both of them cover Yahweh. But the cloud, the regular cloud, is said to, it covers Yahweh, but his glory and his righteousness shines through. It doesn't say righteousness. It uses the word glory over and over, that his glory can come through while he himself remains covered. Okay? Not for the dark clouds. I don't remember I don't think it's for the dark clouds, but I don't particularly recall. I just remember the regular clouds. And smoke was another thing that was used as a covering. A covering, by the way, in the Bible for Yahushua, for God, is different than a covering for us. For us, you can think of a covering as a child in your household, okay? You are to protect that child. They eat your food, you take care of them. But, however, they live by your rules, okay? They live by your rules in your house, okay? But, of course, that can't apply for that can't apply for Yahweh. A covering for him, it just shields us from his glory. It shields us, it protects us from him, his majesty. Okay, I hope that's clear. Let's go on. So the priest could not stand to minister because of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord had filled the house of the Lord. He spread a cloud for a covering, and fire to give light in the night. That's another covering, but that's okay. We have others. Clouds and darkness are round about him. Righteousness and judgment are the habitation of his throne. That's a good definition. Clouds and darkness, righteousness and judgment. So the dark cloud does, no, that's not the same thing. That's different. But that was a good definition for righteousness. Okay, I think that was all of them. I thought I had more than that in there. Maybe I was talking about something and just missed it and I didn't point it out. I thought I had at least 2 in there that said righteousness. We're not going to go through them again. You can go back and look, there's more than one verse that says righteousness. I do know that. So, I think next was face. No. Oh, it was rainbow. It was the rainbow. Genesis 9 verse 13. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. So that's just a symbol of our covenant. And then we want to look at face and sun. And in the morning it will be, let's start here. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? And was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true, and teachest the way of God in truth. Neither carest thou for any man, for thou regardest not the person of men. That word person there is face. And it came to pass, when the time was come, I hope you understood that. He regarded not the person. He didn't regard whatever was prominent. They're rich, whether they were poor, whether they were powerful or weak, the weakest, the strongest, the richest, the poorest, fat, skinny, black, white. He didn't care. He cared about what was inside their personality. And it came to pass, when the time had come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for, this is for sun. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and the stars for a light by night, which divideth the seas when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Okay, that's it. I did warn you that I didn't do a thorough job with sun, but we all know already that a light is representative of the wisdom of the scriptures. So that's that. We're not going to go any further with it because we've gone over it too many times. And there was one more. Hold on, let's look it up. Feet and pillar. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. So if we translate this, and the Lord went before them by day with a foundation of righteousness to lead them the way, and by night with a foundation of judgment to give them wisdom, to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. Oh, that's all of them. Yeah, I only put one in there for pillar. There's more. I'm sure. I didn't do these today. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure there's more for pillar. I think there was quite a few. And I think that's it. I think that covers everything for that verse. And feet also. And he has. So let's look at this real quick so that we can start on verse 3. So he had in his hand a little book. We know hand is symbolic of works. And a little book open. That book is the book of Daniel. We know that because later on in the chapter it's going to tell us that it's sealed. So the little book is the book of Daniel, and we know in Daniel chapter 12, he's told to seal that book. And he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot upon the earth. So his right foot is upon the sea and his left, it doesn't say foot though, see, because these words mean, because these words mean something. And as we just spoke of, judgment is going to judge. The fire here is judgment. It is meant to refine, but if it doesn't refine you in life, then it has to come upon you as judgment. Okay? Because Yahweh can't have it upon him. There's no sin. He's gone through all of this trouble to rid the world of it. And you cannot die with sin on you, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. You cannot die with sin on you. You can have it purged now, or you can have it purged and go to heaven and accept Yahushua's gift, or you can have it purged later and die in peace. You will die sinless. But you're going to die in peace, because if it's on you, then it's on Yahweh. And so you cannot die with sin on you. So it's going to be purged. And it's going to come in the form of a judgment. So, but symbolically, this just means it's just showing his authority over the righteous and the wicked. So that's what's being said there. So we're going to stop here. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave me. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And I will pick up with you in part 2. Yahweh bless.